Welcome to the Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
With your hosts, Scott Smokin SIlz and Brad Baumruck.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
All right, welcome to the Ref Room, everybody. We are on the air. We are back. I am Scott Smokin SIlz, joined by our referee-in-chief, Mr. Brad Baumruck. Wow, man, it's been an exciting weekend. I can't believe we have all that build-up for the CCM weekend. It comes, we kill ourselves, and then it's over. And now they're already talking about the one in April. So it's like,
yep. And not only that, Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
I know, like, so, you know, we're into it. Like I keep saying, like, we're into the season. My gosh, it'll be over before we know it. At the rate it's going. I mean,
it'll be April before you know it.
Saw some great hockey. Got to participate in some great hockey and just had a lot of fun. I mean, I can't believe I feel this good, honestly. Like, I skated 14 games over the weekend, and I don't even have an ache or pain. You know, now Friday night. It was a little painful. Saturday night, it was a little painful, but I feel really great. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm feeling good today. You know, I took the day off, so I've just been kind of relaxing around the house and catching up on some things here. But I can tell you, Sunday morning, boy, my feet did not want to go into those skates. My feet, I could tell they were swollen, and it was like, oh, I got to put these things on again, but you know, we went out there and got on the ice, and, you know, we were lucky Sunday morning. Everybody was just there to play hockey. They just played. I think we had
Yeah.
one penalty up and down the ice. It was a one-goal game, and it was nice. So
Yeah,
we had
the
a good
championship
time.
I worked, one penalty game. It was kid stuck his leg out in the neutral zone. I banged him for it. That was it. Like, play hockey, boys. Have fun. They behaved. It was great. Good game. 2-1 game. Everybody was happy. No whining. No crying. You can't beat
Yeah.
it. Like, that's awesome.
The only downside I got going, Scott, I don't know about you. My face, every time we have this Super Series weekend, I don't know if it's just I'm getting older or what it is, but my face and my lips and hands are super, super, super dry. So if anybody else is going through that,
I thought it was
trust me,
just me.
not just us.
I thought it was just me. Like, I put facial cream on. Like, honestly, the last couple nights, I have been putting it's like oil. That's how dry I am. My lips are chapped out, nothing left. And I literally, I made sure I had a bottle of water for every game. Like, I drank a bottle of water every game. I went through almost a half a case of water over the weekend, and my hands are dry. Like, sounds weird, but you got to have a lot of moisturizer to get through the weekend. It's unbelievable. I always thought it was just me, like, oh, it's old age or something like that. But no,
I don't think so.
We're just sucking the moisture and the life out of us.
Yeah, every season it's like, okay, now I gotta have a week of getting my skin back to where it's at, because if I walk into a rink like this right now, it hurts. So I'm like, but I don't know
I get
about
really
you.
tender through, like, this area gets really dried out and sore, like the nose area and the lips. I don't know about you. Like, normally I can get through till about February with the hands before they start getting the deep, deep cracks in them. And that's with using, like, the lotion. Now, how many of you guys thought we'd be talking about, like, moisturizing here?
Hey, you know what?
But
I think
it's
everybody's
really
going through it.
Yeah. I mean, you just dehydrate so badly. So, we tell you what's the most important things. Have the hair dryer. Now, speaking of that, I don't know about you, but, like, I made sure on Saturday and Sunday morning, I threw the hair dryer on low in my skates for a couple minutes each, just to warm them up a little bit. Not that I dry my stuff out every night. So even when I did work 3 on, 2 off, 3 on, but I either brought my stuff home or I aired it out. And of course I dry everything. I don't like going in there and putting wet equipment on. So, for those of you that we keep telling you about the hair dryer, there's a reason for it. For you, maybe if you put socks on, because I know you don't wear socks. So maybe if you wore socks, you wouldn't have, that tough of a time with your feet going in the skates. I can imagine it's a lot tougher if you weren't wearing socks.
Yeah, I've been doing this so long, I'm not going to change now. But I'm with you, though. The drying of especially of your skates throughout, like, that many games. And, if you think about it, you're on the ice 9 hours, if not more, 3 days. It's a lot. So, but drying those skates out really goes a long way, especially in between games. And, the biggest place that I notice if I have wet skates is when I'm forced to walk on the concrete floor that has, that inch of rubber on it. And that's where your feet take the most abuse. It's not when we're on the rink. It's walking through these rinks, getting to our surfaces.
I was at Mount Prospect, and so I worked on I was lucky. I was on the north rink, which meant I was the closest from the ref room there. It was like I didn't have to walk. But when I work the center rink and have to do that long walk, like the length of the rink and then some, I can feel it. Like, you do that like 6 times a day, back and forth, and during an ice cut or whatever, you pay for that. It's not comfortable.
Dogs are barking. Yeah, no, 100%.
Puppies are definitely barking. Yes. And if I sound horrible, like, I've been sick for like a week prior to this. Like, I had no voice a week ago. So, now at least I have a little bit of voice. It'll probably be gone by the time we finish the show today, because I'm already sounding raspy as can be. But I got a good sinus infection. I got a good cold and a good sinus infection, okay? So, like, hockey season's in full effect. That's how you know it. You're...
Yeah, get the hand sanitizer out, too, when you're working with your sick partners.
Oh, yeah.
did anybody have anything good happen this weekend that they'd like to share? Because they can throw that in the comments.
Yeah, please put in the comment if you had something good, unusual, bad, never had before, because I'm going to share a couple of my things. I had a couple of things I've never had before. So
go ahead.
I want to go through some of those. But for all you guys, by the way, if you're joining us live today, thank you. We are on at a different time. We don't normally do 2 p.m. We're normally on at 5 p.m., right?
5:30.
5:30. Yeah, Brad and I get on a half hour before, so we're normally on at 5:30. But, we lost one of our referee friends in the community about a week ago, I guess, or so, Scott Allard. So there is a memorial service for him today, and I know a lot of the guys are attending. So that's why we came on early, because we still wanted to get the show in and talk to you guys and bring everybody up to speed on what's happening. But I know Brad's on his way over there as soon as the show ends and all that good stuff. And I'm sure a lot of the other guys will be there as well. So that being said, we'll leave some more of that for later in the show. But
I got a great story about Scott too.
Awesome.
I have a doozy, so don't let me forget it. So
okay,
go ahead.
That sounds good. So a couple things, so I had a couple things that have never happened to me before. So I guess I'll start with the first one.
All right,
I had an imminent goal or an awarded goal. I've never had one of those in 11 years of reffing. So I had a team that was down by 2 goals, and the coach pulled his goalie with like 3.5 minutes to go because he really wanted, I don't know if he needed the points or because there's these tiebreakers in these tournaments that work a little differently. And sometimes you better be a good mathematician to figure out what you're going to need to get to the next spot.
Quarter flip.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Yeah. So he pulled his goalie early, and there's a couple minutes left in the game. And there's a breakaway, and the player gets pulled down. And it's an open net, and the player gets pulled down. And so, I called a penalty shot, and it's an awarded goal. I mean, it's an imminent goal. It's just point and go back to center ice, give him the goal. I've never done that. I've not even seen it in my 11-year career. I haven't even had a partner out there that's had that happen to him before. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I've had it happen one time, so I'm with you. And I can tell you exactly what rink it was on, where it was on in the rink, and what happened. And it was basically the same thing. No goalie in the net, and the guy dove, and he took the net off the moorings. Like that was his defensive play as it was coming at him. He dove and he took the net off the moorings, but it was going in for sure. But the rule's pretty clear. But it was a goal, and I was kind of shocked that the one coach said that he thought it should be a penalty shot, and my response to him was, okay, so we'll have a penalty shot with no goalie.
Right.
I don't get it, but I know that I think actually there is one, if I remember correctly. I don't know what rule book, so before anybody freaks out, but I think there is one rule book though that if that does happen, you still have to have the penalty shot, and there's no goalie in the net.
Interesting.
I unless now, mind you, this I'm thinking of something. I read this probably 15 years ago, maybe more. So somebody might have already fixed that, but it might have been an NCAA. I can't remember who the heck it was.
Yeah.
Might have been some weird, obscure high school thing. But
it's funny that you bring that up, because there are some rules that just kind of quietly disappear out of the book. They just silently, they just vanish. And a great example of that would be the goaltender and the blocker glove with the waffle.
Okay, go ahead. We just had one of these, so go ahead.
I know
where you're going.
And I had a situation very similar a number of years back, and I was actually confronted, my partner and I, my partner is a professional referee, and we were confronted by an NHL referee after the game with regard to this. And I know it's an NHL rule. If you take the goalie hits somebody with the blocker, it's a match penalty.
Yeah, with the waffle.
With the waffle, yeah. But, that rule used to be in the book. And I know that as a goalie growing up that we had that rule. But that rule has quietly come out of the book. It's not there. So you have to assess it differently if you want the match penalty and you're the referee in chief, and I'm putting you on the spot here, but I think it has to be more of an attempt to injure at that point is where you would go with your match penalty on that versus just he had the blocker. It's an automatic match penalty.
It's so weird. I was talking with the referee about this. It was already like 2 weeks ago, and he's been around for 40 years. And we were talking about it, and we were trying to come up with the rationale of why it was ever in the rule book. And the best thing the two of us could come up with, now if somebody wants to, correct us later, please feel free to throw it in the comments.
Yeah, by all means.
But between the two of us, we figured that it has to do with facial protection. And back, in the day of where you just had the single bar or the half, for the players, they didn't want that goalkeeper using that hard plastic
right
as a
into
weapon.
Their face.
Right, so... But with the greater facial protection, they kind of went away from that being an automatic match penalty, and we think that's the reason why. I would love to know if that's the actual reason.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a
if
great
somebody
question
knows,
for USA Hockey that actually knows. I mean, somebody knows why they changed that rule or took it out or felt it didn't need to be in there any longer. But it wasn't like, hey, here's the new rule, guys. And the new rule says the goalie can now whack you with the blocker. You don't have that anymore. Or, we never saw that in the rule book. And so I remember at one point it was in there, and I haven't seen it. I had not ever heard it mentioned at a seminar or anything of that nature where like there was a rule change and like this doesn't affect, your penalty assessment anymore.
They probably changed the wording, and it was one of those, they changed so much wording that, they try to highlight it for us. When they remove something or whatnot, and they put it kind of like in a cliff note. But if they add, it's always highlighted. Nowadays, it didn't used to be, but I think it just kind of got retracted.
It's highlighted. Yeah, you just won't see it.
yeah. It just kind of got retracted, and it could just be that they wanted to make it more precise, or that attempt to injure, I think, is a big key there. A goalkeeper a lot of the time isn't skilled enough to even use that piece of plastic. I know that sounds crazy, but like to use it to be very accurate, if that makes sense.
Well, so I had I was lining a game earlier in my career at one of the CCM tournaments. Okay. And there was a situation where there was a goalie that did get into basically an altercation in the crease, and he got the guy down, and he knew how to use the piece of equipment very well. And he was assessed the appropriate penalty for it. So, but again, I guess it's changed a little bit. So it's kind of a good one to know, like if you don't know about that, or if you didn't know it changed and you're sitting there going, I didn't know about that. Well, now you know. All right. So I had I know you got a great story, so I don't want to, like you're going to be the headliner of the story, or are you telling your story?
I don't have a big story.
I thought you had a big story.
No, not really.
No, not really.
Some disagreeing fans.
Are you going to share that one with us later?
No, because I don't want to make everybody depressed. I told you about it.
Man.
The halls of the danged.
Well, one of my other buddies had a great game. He had two teams, I think, in the semifinals or quarterfinals. And this is an interesting story because it was the Hatfields and the McCoys. Does that tell you anything right there? Two teams from Tennessee.
They live next door to each other? Okay, so
two teams from Tennessee. They never play. They do not play each other. They hate each other. One is I think, don't get me wrong, I got the story interpreted to me, so I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but apparently one is considered a AAA team, and I think one is more of a Central States team, we'll call it, that they're,
like an upper level AA team.
They're not allowed to play in the same league. They won't let each other play each other. They never play. Everybody hates each other. Parents hate each other, like it's the Hatfields and the McCoys from Tennessee.
Yeah, I got it now. Yep.
Okay, so they ended up playing, I guess, during either the quarters or the semis. They finally played each other, and I guess it was just a great battle, like an awesome battle that ended up going double overtime. Okay. And I think the team that was considered the lower tier of the two actually ended up winning the game, which I thought was even cooler. Like, you can't write a better story than that. So I guess it was just a great battle and a great game. So, there's a lot of good stories that come out of these tournaments like that. And that's kind of a cool one. We have teams that travel, hundreds of miles or drive 8 hours, and now they're going to play each other, in a neutral site. Yeah, and they won't even play each other at home. So I think that's really cool. And then, we had a couple nice rivalry games where they were local teams, of course, playing each other. Oh, man, just penalty after penalty. It is what it is. But so we had one situation. This is one of my favorite ones. This is another first. So we have a player that's in the box. He's serving his penalty. And I'm standing right by the box. I'm like right there. And I'm waiting for the penalty to expire. The penalty expires, and the coach looks at me and he sends his player over the bench. And the guy's not coming out of the penalty box.
Came out of the box.
I'm like, somebody's got to come out before somebody. He's like, no, we got him out there. No. Doesn't work that way. He's got to come out of the box. No. We're good. He's going to stay there. Well, no. It doesn't work that way. So I stopped play, of course. He didn't re-enter the ice correctly. You have to step back on the ice to make the transition of players, to make the legal change. And he's like, no. He's on a permanent timeout. He's staying in there. He only got a minor penalty. Timeout. He didn't get anything. We didn't give him an egregious penalty. I don't know if he had like a trip or a hook or something. But coach was like, no. He's on a timeout. He's staying there. So that was rather interesting. I've never seen that one before, but the coach is a character and in a good way. He's a likable guy, but he was having a moment, I guess, with his player, and his player was not coming out of that box.
What I had was I actually had a coach ask me what the line is for abuse. Like, where's the line? In abuse. And I was like, well...
Towards the referee you're referring to.
Correct, towards the referee.
Okay.
You're correct.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, that's not really that easy of an answer. And they're like, why? I go, well, it comes down to interpretation. I go, here's how I'll put it. And I gave him multiple examples of things, and I'm not going to, get
don't
into
share
it
the
like
secrets now. Don't share the secret sauce.
No. I'm saying like what things I said, because some of them were heinous and whatnot. I don't want to be putting that kind of blurb out there on stuff like this, but I said but sometimes with some guys, if you're screaming their first name, yelling at them, Brad, come on, they can take that as abuse. I go, you need to just think about how you would want to be talked to. I go, if it would offend you, if you were being yelled at by it, you probably don't want to do it. I go, and now here's an even better point. I go, if you feel that you may be offended by it, you shouldn't do it, because it's 6:01 at that point, I would say. I go, think of it that way. And he was like, I've never really thought about it that way. He's like, I just always wanted to know where I could go. And I'm like, it just depends on the referee. I go, and it also depends on the day. I go, right now, I think this was like our 6th game or 7th game of our first day. I go, hey, I can tell you today I got a pretty long rope right now still. I go, when it gets to tomorrow night and it's like our 11th game, it might not be the same response, and you might get a different response to whereas, the referee might chirp you back, especially in something like this. So, it becomes one of those communications that you have, and sometimes you might communicate with somebody, they may communicate back. Now, to where you two want to go with it is where that bench minder comes in or not, so it gets interesting, but I think just the biggest advice I can give to any coach is, hey, you know what? Know your audience. If you know the referee especially, some guys I know really, really well, and me and them will go back and forth the whole game, and it's actually just us doing our thing. And other referees are like, why are you letting them do that? And I'm like, well, we've done this for X amount of years. This is just how we do it. Like, nobody's mad at the end, I go, but, it's not the same for you. I go, if you get that relationship with those coaches or whatever, hey, I'm 100% in the game. We got to get it done. We want to get through it. They want to get through it. We're all ready to go out and have adult beverages afterwards, not maybe with each other, but you know what I mean. So, sometimes those relationships go a long way. And sometimes, there are coaches that, they enjoy certain referees, and there's certain referees that enjoy coaches. That just happens. And that's just life in general. And I think a lot of people see that as favoritism. But
Well,
it's not.
It's interesting that you bring that up because, you have coaches that just think you're out to get them all the time. Like, you could call one penalty the whole day, but you're out to get them. Like, you're looking for them. Like, come on, guys. You got to be realistic here. You see us from time to time. You know what the standard's going to be. You know what they're going to call. You know what they, the little things that bother them. If it's the leg being stuck out, that he's going to call it every time, or it's a late hit that he doesn't like, he's going to call it every time. You learn the standard. I mean, we all played hockey. We know how to work within the gray area, the rules. And, if you can't figure that out, well, good luck to you, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, probably will. But yeah, I think, we talk about this all the time, having, rapport with the coaches. And, sometimes you're fortunate enough that you do work with some of the same coaches over and over again. Some of them doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, some of them some people you just don't get along with.
There's still going to be a horses because they can't help themselves.
And that just,
they just can't help themselves. Or they're just miserable because they're not winning. They're used to winning, and now maybe they don't have the team that they've used to have, or, the caliber of players they used to have, and they're frustrated too. They're just frustrated.
And frustration can lead to what I consider abuse. And they don't know they can't really take it out on the kids. Like, what are you going to do? Go home and yell at your wife or yell at some complete stranger wearing black and white? They generally choose to yell at the complete stranger in black and white because it's easy. We're an easy scapegoat, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not that your player lost the puck 20 feet down the ice and you got scored on. It was the 4 plays before that where the guy held the guy's arm that was 100 feet away from the play, nowhere near the puck. That's what that caused the goal. That was
the whole cause. That's what changed the whole scenario, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I think as referees, I think I can take that. I understand. There's some really good coaches. I've seen complete coaches that are complete strangers to it, to where they take a bench minor, and it's 100% they wanted the bench minor so that they could call you an asshole and say, look at what this prick's doing. We got to get around it just to get their team fired up. And, there's coaches that I know that do it. I wish there's one that I've asked to come on here and talk about it because he loves to do it. Because then he'll wink at you afterwards. It's hilarious. But I've seen complete stranger coaches do it. And it's like, all right, I got you. I know what you're doing. And you know what? I'll tell you something that I had happen over the weekend since we're talking about this and I'm thinking of things. So we have a quarterfinal game, so we have timeouts in that game, right? So the home team's coach, tosses his guys out on the ice. The visiting team's got their guys. He pulls his center back to his bench, and he's like, come here, I want to talk to you. I'm at center ice. I do the line change for the visiting team. Arm goes up. Home team, they're all out there. Put my arm down. Skate down to the goal line. Guy comes down, goes to the captain, or goes to the linesman, timeout. And I went, not a chance. And I wheeled back up there. I wheeled right to his bench, because I knew what he was going to do. And I said, look, we already got through the stoppage. I go, when you're supposed to call your timeout. I go, we went through the entire line change process. I go, and I'm looking at you the whole time. I go, and now your guy skated all the way down to the dot. We are absolutely putting that puck down. And I wheeled away. And after the game, he comes up and he's like, look, I was just trying to buy a little extra time on my timeout. I'm like, yeah, I know what you were doing. I go, but you were dead. I'm like, I knew what you were doing the second you pulled your guy back. But don't know him. He laughed about it. I laughed about it. Hey, I get it. I'm with him 100%. If I was a coach, I'd try the same stuff.
I mean, I don't resent it. I don't get why the coaches do that in that situation. I'm going to tell you why. Maybe they don't know it from a referee perspective, but if okay, we got a line change going on. Hey, we're going to call timeout. Okay.
Yep.
You're going to get your minute and a quarter, minute and a half. I know it's supposed to be a 60-second timeout, but no scorekeeper's putting 60 seconds up on the clock. Nobody's hitting the horn and expected you to be on the dot lined up at 60 seconds. You get a moment to kind of work out what you're trying to do. There's a strategy. We understand that. We know you're teaching. So what are they going to gain by waiting till that last second and then calling the timeout? Like, are you really, the 10 seconds is going to make that much of a difference to your team in
So number one is okay, there's two thoughts of it, okay? Number one is we get away with it and our timeout's longer. So there's actually three thoughts. Well, okay, so that's number one, right? Number two, we don't get away with it, but it took so long anyways, it was basically like taking a timeout, we still have a timeout. Okay? And then number three is I put my line out there. They had already put a better line out there, or I screwed up the line change. Well, now that I took that timeout, I can change my lines.
Right.
So it's almost like a emergency brake at that point. So, but I don't. That's the only three things I can think of. Again, if a coach wants to fill me in, but yeah, normally it's it's just like there's coaches that after they've used their timeout, they want to talk about things with 40 seconds left in the game. No. We'll talk about this at the end of the game.
I love the players that think they're
now.
going to have a meeting. Like the center goes over to line up, and then he decides he's going over to the winger, and he's going to have a full discussion. He's going to work his way around the horn here, and have a meeting. And it's like, are y'all done? You ready? Okay, good. New
quarterback.
Center.
He's a quarterback.
New center. I hope you got it all out of your system. Did you get the meeting in? Good. Where are you guys going for dinner? Yeah. Next.
Brilliant. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So
there are a couple other things.
I didn't even think. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you got something you want to cover? Go.
No, to be honest with you, I mean, our weekend was so pretty much smooth. It was shocking. We did have a little disturbance in our last game, but hey, everybody's tired at that point. So I get it.
I got to say, I was really happy. Like, things were good. Didn't tee anybody up. There were no issues. I thought the guys were great. We saw a lot of the coaches. I don't know about you. I saw a lot of the coaches over and over. I ended up doing a number of the teams probably 3 times in those 12 games. So,
okay,
it's always nice when things are rolling pretty well and nobody's upset with you. If you're doing your job, if you're calling your icings, you're getting your offsides correct, you're consistent in what you're calling, coaches are always begging for more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
No,
you're right.
But, we're not being confrontational with them. We're not, go ahead and scream all you want. Okay. I know what you're screaming for because you've been doing it for 3 games. It's not going to change. It's not bothering me. We're playing. Get it out of your system. If that's your coaching style, whatever the case may be, enjoy yourself. But honestly, really, really smooth. And, kudos to the coaches for that. And I think it was a fun weekend. I think everybody had a good time. And, there were some
it seemed like everybody that we
some
had
bad
was
wins
good.
And everything else. But it was. I miss it already. Don't we have part 2 this weekend? Now it's like there's not enough games out there. I'm looking. There's not enough games.
No, there's enough games. Don't worry about it. You calm down. There's still, our tiering was over for one of our travel leagues, so all those games are going to go up on the web. So I would just calm down over there. And
all right,
that's local.
I was feeling like I'm not going to hit the number I like to hit this month. All right, so there were a couple postings. There were a couple postings online that I saw, running through the Facebook scrolls. Right. And so one was question for the group. Puck is loose in the crease. Goalie thinks it's covered. Is it proper to yell loose? Now, I'll give you my take on this, but I want your take first.
My take is, as long as I'm not teaching him how to play the goal or helping him play the goal, if you want that goalie to be notified that it is still loose, if they look confident, I don't have an issue with it. Now, there's a lot of referees that'll tell you that that's coaching a player, and that you shouldn't be doing that.
That's my feeling. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think it's right.
Then again, though, it's just the same, and here's my take on it. It's just the same as a player that's getting close in front of the net with their stick and about to cross-check a guy. and you're like, hey, you better drop a hand off that stick before you get them good enough, and I take you to the box.
Well,
There's not much different in those
because
two.
I'm not going to coach him on that one either.
Yeah, see,
I
do
I
because
let the
I want
boys
the game
play.
to go. I want
know.
it to go efficiently, and sometimes a nice reminder
Yeah.
keeps the game going. Just like if you have two players monkeying around behind the play, tangled up with each other. Get up the ice, boys.
I will knock it off. Let's go.
Same thing.
Keep moving.
They're
Get
all
out
the
of
same
there
thing.
while you can. Get out of there while you can. I have no problem with that. Trying to keep them moving, just trying to keep them out of trouble. But I had another referee that I know that's legendary, and he's been around forever, and he feels like no, it's okay to kind of coach him through that. Like puck is loose. Puck is loose.
If it's the same referee that I'm thinking of,
Probably
he would announce the entire game if you let him during it.
Well, he probably would. Color commentator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's
colorful.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm with you. No, it's one of those things. I don't think you're giving any advantage, and actually our registrar just put a pretty good comment in there as well. Kind of what I was thinking, but we'll let him
if I'm
take
at the
glory.
blue line and my partner is at the goal line and play is behind him where he can't see very clearly, I will yell loose from the top of the blue line so my partner knows that puck is still alive.
I don't listen to anybody yelling loose from the top. You know why? Because it could be a coach, it could be a player, it could be a fan. I don't care.
You don't know.
And not only that, if you're going to yell loose,
you don't know the cadence of your partner, Brad.
Hey,
if I was yelling, you wouldn't know that it was me yelling and not somebody else. Because I hear coaches yelling loose too, but I know that's not my partner yelling loose. I know who I'm out there with.
The next thing I would say to you, Scott, is okay. Since you're going to yell loose from the top, why don't you make sure and blow the whistle? Because I'm not going to anymore. There you go. Good luck with that. That's just the way. Anthony put in a great comment there that he likes to yell loose.
I'll put these up.
There you go. Yeah, we don't need to see all of them, but yeah, I'm with him there. I get it. It's a little communication that helps assist that. Hey, yeah, I still see the puck.
Well, maybe we should all be united on this. Maybe there should be a.
Never going to happen, because I hear every once in a while people yell good, or onsides when they're waving offsides. They'll be like onsides, and I'm like onsides. What? What? Just yell good, man.
Yep.
It's not an isolated incident. Trust me. And I'm like,
you're
confusing
let me point
me.
out something for some of the newer referees that are out there. If you're watching the show or you're going to watch the replay of this, you're going to yell good.
Yep.
If that's like the player's approaching the red line and dumping the puck in, don't yell good. He's dumping the puck down.
Right.
Good would indicate we're onside. Everything is good.
Yep.
It's like no would be the better yell because that means no icing. No icing, okay? Versus yelling good, because good would indicate that maybe we're onsides and good to go when we're actually offside, and you're going to end up with a whistle because we don't have a delayed offside now. Before we had the delay, So that takes a couple things out of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, let's see. Joe Prescott has joined us. Loose. This lets the benches know that the puck is loose. If the goaler thinks it's covered, the bench thinks it's covered.
See?
This avoids controversy if the puck is put in the goal.
I'm with Joe. I'm sorry. I'm with Joe 100%. Right. And I know where Joe and I
have had this discussion before. Because I was always taught from my peers that you shouldn't coach the players. So it's just a difference in philosophy. And we've had this discussion, but that's the way I was trained when I started, and it's kind of stayed with me. So. Yep,
100%. I get it. I see both sides. I think it's just a personal preference.
I thought that was a good one to bring up. Let's see. Joe has chimed back in here. What's up, Joe? Good to hear from you always. And yes, Brad, if I could communicate all of the time, so the teams knew where I am and what I'm seeing. Yeah, well, coaches don't always see the same things we see. They see it their way.
Not even close. That's correct.
Right.
That is correct.
All right, so that was one of the things I saw that was posted online. Here's another one. This person says, in 24 years of officiating ice hockey at many levels and in many leagues, yesterday was that day that I really felt like skating off the ice during play. 18 penalties in a U14 game, including 2 2-10s and a 5-in-a-game misconduct. The parents blamed the refs. I was a hockey parent many years ago and can say I never acted in the manner that parents display towards officials today. We wonder why so many refs quit. This is just one example. Today's another day back on the ice. So, obviously he got over. He was probably very tired. I'm assuming if I don't know where he's working. This is actually from an association outside of ours. So maybe they had a tournament or maybe he had a long weekend. I don't know where he's from or what he's doing. I don't recognize the name. So I just thought it was a valid thing to kind of bring up, because I think a lot of officials, you do get into some long days where you're either worn out or, maybe you had a long work day or you didn't get any sleep, and it is
right.
tougher. But, it is different too. I think the parents are a little different in the way they were than when I grew up, in terms of as a spectator. Look at sports in general. When I grew up, if you went to a Blackhawk game and you sat in the 100 level, which they used to call the club circle, you had to have a sport jacket and a tie on. You couldn't even sit in that area if you didn't have a sport jacket and a tie on. I bet you didn't know that one, did you?
No, I
Joe
did
Prescott
know that.
will remember that.
Joe would know.
I bet you remember that, don't you? You went to a Hawks game. If you sat down low, you had to be well attired. But it's just different. I don't remember. Our parents didn't tailgate all day long either when we were on the road. Like, nobody tailgated. That wasn't even a thing back then. So, I'm sure the tailgating has a little something to do with the level of enjoyment from the parents or excitement that they feel during their kids' games. Could have something to do with it too.
Yeah, I think just people are a little bit more emotional than they have been, and are more willing to voice their opinion in non-appropriate times.
Well, when they want their opinion, they'll give it to you.
Yeah, that's the best way I can say it.
I said when they want your opinion, they'll give it to you.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, we're coming up on time here, and I do want to share that story real quick.
Okay.
And this is just a funny little blurb that, So me and Scott have refereed together.
Well, before we do this, let me just say we do this every Monday. We will be back at the regular time next week, which will be 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Now, we're out of daylight savings time, in case you guys haven't figured that out by now. And yes, it's already screwed me up.
If not,
yesterday I came home after hockey, after having an early day, and it felt like 10 o'clock at night. It was like 5:30 at night. I was like it's been dark for hours already. I can't stand it. All right. With that being said, so join us next week. If you want to contribute to the channel, please go to buymeacoffee.com/refroom. And I'll put that right there, buymeacoffee.com/refroom. Coffee prices haven't gone up on this show, okay? They're only like $4, I think. So you might want to buy before the prices go up, okay?
Yeah, before we change
we
to
need
the
caffeine
decaf.
after the weekend, okay? We appreciate it. And, it never hurts to buy the referee a coffee, okay? And with that being said, I'm going to let you take it away, and let's put up this graphic.
Yeah, this is just a fun.
Sorry, there it is.
This is just a fun story about Scott. If people didn't know Scott, Scott had this smile, which we didn't use. We used the serious, cool Scott picture that he would have liked. But he had this smile that you could see him, and it just lit up a room. But so I'll never forget, we're refereeing together. We'd known each other for, 10 years at this point. We're refereeing this AAA game, and this coach is adamantly screaming at Scott, screaming at him from the bench that he wanted to know a rule number. The rule number for whatever the penalty was, for God only knows what it was. Who even knows what the score was or anything at that point? And this guy's yelling at him and yelling at him and yelling at him. And Scott stops next to me at the blue line, and he's yelling. And I turn to Scott and I go, Tell him 641B. And Scott goes, 641B, right? And he skates off. Okay? So he takes off right down the ice, and he's refereeing or whatever. And here I am laughing to myself. You know, well, next thing we know, coach has a rule book out on the bench, and he's looking at it. And all of a sudden, his tone goes from, he's really upset to, oh, crap, there's only 640 rules in here, and they told me 641B. He puts the rule book away, and we didn't hear from him anymore. So Scott comes over, and Scott goes, oh, my God, how did you know what rule that was? And I go, rule book ends at 640. He's like, oh, my God. He's like, I thought you knew the actual number. And he laughed so hard about it, and the coach was just silent. And I'll never forget, because that's just one thing. Scott trusted you if you were friends with him and you told him something. 641B, he belted it right back out. He thought I knew it. And then when I told him, we had a great laugh about it. And I can tell you this, I think every time that I saw him from then on, for the next 10 years or however many years it's been, we always talked about that story. And it's just one thing that I always love, and Scott, just cracked up and was dying about it. And we would always laugh about it when we talked about it. So I'm going to miss him. So I know a lot of other referees are going to miss him, and a lot of our locals are going. So if you get a chance to go today, the arrangements are online to send out and or to go to. And there'll be a lot of people there. So going to miss him. Scott had a long time battle with some health problems, and unfortunately, he lost that battle. So,
With that,
there we go. Let's
right.
end it on a somber note.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week on the Ref Room right here.